My name is Phoebe Jacobs, and I'm delighted to be here at the Louis Armstrong house. I was a woman that had 2 children, took care of myself and my kids, and there were times where, money was short, so I would take a wristwatch that I had, or a wedding ring, or whatever it was that I had, and I would get 10 or 15 or 20 bucks. And I used to patronize a place up in Harlem that guys that I knew, musicians, told me was an honest, honorable guy, Pawn shops were frequented by artists for the simple reason that they never had a 9-to-5 job where they knew they were working every day. So their incomes were so inconsistent that they would sometimes have to pawn a gown. A lady singer might have to pawn her gown or her jewelry, or a musician might have to pawn his instrument, and it became a way of life. A pawn shop is convenient and comfortable because it's not an indignity. You're not embarrassed. You go, you bring your item. You might not get what you think it's worth, but at least you could get something, and I feel it's vital to keep people going on, and it's a ray of hope. Race, I played a very important part in the whole era of pawn shops and entertainment. First of all, America's greatest entertainers are people of color or ethnic backgrounds. I had a member of my family who owned a nightclub, and he was such a Louis Armstrong fan that he named his nightclub in honor of Louis Armstrong and called it Basin Street. And Louis Armstrong used to play there at least once a year, and as time went on, he played there twice a year. I was so enamored of the music of Louis Armstrong since Ralph Watkins, who was my relative, exposed me to Louis when I was about 14 years old, that I was too young to be a patron and sit down, so I used to help the girl in the hat check room, and then I could listen to the shows and so forth. And over the years, I got to know Louis because I met him in many various locations, and we established a rapport, and I guess that's how I got involved. Well, Louis always was very good about talking about his childhood and his background, and of course he loved New Orleans. I'm sure you know that. He was born there and he adored it. And he was very humble and full of humility, and he loved to tell the story about the Karnofsky family, how we helped out on a wagon collecting old clothes or delivering coal. And he mentioned in his telling of his childhood and how he grew up that he saw a horn in a pawn shop, and it was 35 cents, and he was going to save his money as best he could till he could get that horn. And the first horn, he'd always tell everybody the first horn he ever had was a horn that he picked up in a pawn shop. And man, he used to tell stories about it. He loved that horn. He slept with it under his pillow. He slept with it in his bed. I mean, that horn it gave him an opportunity that because of his humble beginnings and the struggles that he had and having to go to pawn shops, it influenced his life tremendously. Just look where we have gone with that 35-cent horn, what a man like Louis Armstrong did, and how great. Hope is beautiful, and Louis sings, it's a wonderful world, and that's so true.